All right. Video portion. Okay. Ancapistani Lounge number 62. Here with Gray in the Field, aka
Or Conan.
Hmm?
No, that's just my nickname.
Yeah. All right. Well, anyone else is going to be late, so I don't mind. I always don't mind. So I don't think you were here the last time. Um, when I read the first half of part 6. So anyone who missed it, I'll do a little rehash. So basically, it was back to a character, Ben Parrish, aka Zombie's point of view. He met Cassie's sister, who has a new code name, Nugget, at the private military base, the secret, top secret military base that's called Camp Haven. And uh, it's it seems that this military group is training young kids, as young as Sam is, to prepare for combat and to go fight the alien invaders. Yeah, it's quite messed up. Really messed up. But I think what was even a little bit more messed up and lame was that the author didn't make the zombies squad drill instructor to be as mean and ruthless. The insults were kind of lame, and Mag, Night Shift, and I we couldn't help ourselves in laughing over some of the things the the drill instructor was saying. um. Oh, and further on, Resnick. Yeah, that's the drill instructor's name. Resnick. Uh, they go. He Zombie describes like a day in the life of the squad, and the most disturbing thing is the processing in which they tend to the dead, tend to the dead bodies, pickpockets and stuff like that, and haul the bodies to the incinerator. Yeah, it's really messed up over at Camp Haven. It's a hell of a boot camp in a post-apocalyptic setting. Um, oh yeah, there was a time in which one in Zombie Squad went quote Dorothy end quote, which means he lost it. He flipped his lid. He had a mental breakdown and nearly shot. And this younger kid nearly shot another member of his squad. And
Wow.
yeah, and he was carted off to um, some psych ward or something, and somehow he was killed, and Zombie and someone else in his squad found out and saw how recent his corpse is, and this kid, codenamed Tank, I think, got replaced by this girl, codenamed Ringer, in which Zombie saw a couple of times before Tank went Dorothy. Hey, YouTubing Jaguar and Attack Helicopter Cat, welcome. Yeah, so that's where we left off, in which Ringer is the new member in Zombie's squad. I think I pretty much summarized everything, all the important stuff anyway. Oh, and uh, Zombie and Nugget, aka Sam's, Cassie's brother, they've been bonding and getting along and looking out for each other. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. Now to pick up where I left off. Uh, come on. Come on here. Nope, that's not it. Here, let's see. Almost there. Okay. Chapter 49. Ringer's first night in Barracks 10 in one word. Awkward. No banter, no dirty jokes, no macho bluster. We count the minutes ticking down to lights out like a bunch of nervous geeks on a first date. Other squads might have girls her age. We have Teacup. Ringer seems oblivious to our discomfort. She sits on the edge of Tank's old bunk, disassembling and cleaning her rifle. Ringer likes her rifle a lot. You can tell by the way she lovingly runs the oily rag up and down the length of its barrel, shining it until the cold metal gleams under the fluorescence. We are trying so hard not to stare at her, it's painful. She reassembles her weapon, places it carefully in the locker beside the bed, and comes over to my bunk. I feel something tightened in my chest. I haven't spoken to a girl my age since. When? Before the plague. And I don't think about my life before the plague. That was Ben's life, not zombies. You're the squad leader, she says. Her voice is flat, no emotion, like her eyes. Why? I answer the challenge in her question with my own. Why not? Stripped down to her skivvies and the standard issued sleeveless t-shirt, her bangs stopping just short of her dark eyebrows, looking down at me. Dumbo and Oompa stop their card game to watch. Teacup is smiling, sensing a fight brewing. Flintstone, who's been folding laundry, drops a clean jumpsuit on top of the pile. You're a terrible shot, Ringer says. I have other skills, I say, crossing my arms over my chest. You should see me with a potato peeler. You've got a good body. Somebody laughs at under his breath. I think it's Flint. Are you an athlete? I used to be. She's standing over me with her fists on her hips, bare feet planted firmly on the floor. It's her eyes that get to me, the deep dark of them. Is nothing there, or nearly everything? Football. Good guess. And baseball, probably. When I was younger. She changes the subject abruptly. The guy I replaced, no, the guy I replaced went Dorothy. That's right. Why? I shrug. Does it matter? She nods. It doesn't. I was the leader of my squad. No doubt. Just because you're a leader doesn't mean you'll make sergeant after graduation. I sure hope that's true. I know it's true. I asked. She turns on her bare heel and goes back to her bunk. I look down at my feet and notice my nails need trimming. Ringer's feet are very small, with nubby type toes. When I look up again, she's heading for the showers with the towel thrown over her shoulder. She pauses at the door. If anybody in this squad touches me, I'll kill them. There's nothing menacing or funny about the way she says it. It's it's as if she's stating a fact, like it's cold outside. I'll spread the word, I say, and when I'm done in the shower, off limits, total privacy. Roger that. Anything else? She pauses, staring at me from across the room. I feel myself tense up. What next? I like to play chess. Do you play? I shake my head. Holler at the boys. Any of you pervs play chess? No, Flint calls back, but if she's in the mood for some strip poker, It happens before I can get 2 inches off the mattress. Flynn on the ground, holding his throat, kicking his legs like a stomped on bug, Ringer standing over him. Also, no demeaning, sexist, pseudo macho remarks. You're cool, Teacup blurts out, and she means it. Maybe she needs to rethink the whole Ringer thing. Might not be such a bad arrangement having another girl around. That's 10 days half rations for what you just did, I tell her. Maybe Flint had it coming, but I'm still the boss when Resnick's not around, and Ringer needs to know it. Are you writing me up? No fear in her voice, no anger, no anything. I'm giving you a warning. She nods, steps away from Flint, brushes past me on the way to fetch her toiletry kit. She smells, well, she smells like a girl, and for a second I'm a little lightheaded. I'll remember you going easy on me, she says with a flip of her bangs, when they make me 53's new squad leader. Yeah, Ringer's quite a tough badass, isn't she?
Yep.
uh Tech helicopter cat. No, I didn't get a chance to talk to Koi today. Um
She sounds like she might have a few screws loose herself.
who?
Ringer.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think so.
So is this like some kind of alien invasion?
Well, the aliens already invaded.
Ah,
Yeah. And it's pretty much the aliens killing off the survivors. There's a twist in the plot, but I don't really want to spoil it.
oh, okay.
Yeah. So, continuing on, chapter 50. A week after Ringer arrived, Squad 53 moved up from 10th to 7th place. By week 3, we had edged past Squad 19 to take 5th. Then, with only 2 weeks to go, we hit a wall, falling 16 points back from 4th place, a nearly insurmountable deficit. Poundcake, who isn't much for words, but is a boss with numbers, breaks down the spread. In every category except one, there's very little room for improvement. We're second in obstacle course, third in air raid and the run, and first in, quote, other duties as assigned, end quote. A catch-all that includes points for morning inspection and conduct befitting a unit of the armed forces. Our downfall is marksmanship, where we rank 16th despite kick-ass shooters like Ringer and Poundcake. Unless we can pull up that score in the next 2 weeks, we're doomed. Of course, you don't have to be a boss with numbers to know why our score is so low. The squad leader sucks at shooting. So the sucky shooting squad leader goes to the senior drill instructor and requests extra practice time, but his scores don't budge. My technique isn't bad. I do all the right things in the right order. Still, if I score one headshot out out of a 30-round clip, I'm lucky. Ringer agrees it's just dumb luck. She says even Nugget could score 1 out of 30. She tries hard not to show it, but in my ineptitude with a gun pisses her off. Her former squad ranks second. If she hadn't been reassigned, she'd be guaranteed to graduate with the first class and be first in line for a pair of sergeant stripes. I've got a proposition for you, she says one morning as we hit the yard for the morning run. She's wearing a headband to hold back her silky bangs. And that I noticed their silkiness. I'll help you on one condition. Does it have anything to do with chess? Resign as squad leader. I glance at her. The cold has painted her ivory cheeks a bright red. Ringer is a quiet person. Not pound cake quiet, but quiet in an intense and nerving way, with eyes that seem to dissect you with the sharpness of one of Dumbo's surgical knives. You didn't ask for it. You don't care about it. Why not let me have it? She asks, keeping her eyes on the path. Why do you want it so bad? Giving the orders is my best chance to stay alive. I laugh. I want to tell her what I've learned. Vosh said it. I knew it to the bottom of my soul. You're going to die. This wasn't about survival. It was about payback. Following the path that snakes out of the yard and across the hospital parking lot to the airfield access road. In front of us now, the power plant barfing out its black and gray smoke. How about this? I suggest. You help me, we win. I step down. It's a meaningless offer. We're we're recruits. It isn't our call who's squad leader. It's Resnick's. And I know this really isn't about who's squad leader anyway. It's about who makes sergeant when we're activated for field duty. Being squad leader doesn't guarantee a promotion, but it can't hurt. A Black Hawk thunders overhead, returning from night patrol. Ever wonder how they did it? She asks, watching the chopper swing off to our right toward the landing zone. Got everything running again after the EMP strike? No, I answer honestly. What do you think? Her breath's tiny, her breath's tiny white explosion in the frigid air. Underground bunkers. It has to be. That or what? She shakes her head, puffing out her cold pinched cheeks, and her black hair swings back and forth as she runs, kissed by the bright morning sun. Too crazy, zombie, she says finally. Come on, let's see what you've got, football star. I'm 4 inches taller than she is. For every one stride I take, she has to take two, so I beat her. Barely. That afternoon we hit the range, bringing Oompa along to operate the targets. Ringer watches me fire off a few rounds, then offers her expert opinion. You're horrible. That's the problem, my horribleness. I give her my best smile. Before the alien Armageddon happened, I was known for my smile. Not bragging too much, but I had to be careful never to smile while I drove. It had the capacity to blind oncoming traffic, but it has absolutely no effect on Ringer. She does squint in its overwhelming luminescence. She doesn't blink. Your technique is good. What's going on when you shoot? Generally speaking, I miss. She shakes her head. Speaking of smiles, I've yet to see so much as a thin lipped grin from her. I decide to make it my mission to coax one out of her. More a Ben thought than a zombie one, but old habits die hard. I mean, between you and the target, she says. Huh? Well, and it pops up. No, I'm talking about what happens between here, fingertips on my right hand, and there, pointing at the target 20 yards away. You've lost me, Ringer. You have to think of your weapon as a part of you, not the M16 firing you, you firing. It's like blowing on a dandelion. You breathe the bullet out. She swings her rifle off her shoulder and nods to Oompa. She doesn't know where it'll pop up, but the head of the target explodes in a shower of splinters before it even gets up bright. It's like there's no space, nothing that isn't you. The rifle is you. The bullet is you. The target is you. There's nothing that's not you. So basically, what you're saying is I'm blowing my own head off. I almost got a smile with that one. The left corner of her mouth twitches. That's very zen-like, I say. I try again. Her eyebrows come together. Strike three. It's more like quantum mechanics. I nod seriously. Oh, sure, that's what I meant to say. Quantum mechanics. She turns her head away. To hide a smile? So I don't see an exasperated eye roll. When she turns back, All I get is that intense, stomach-tightening stare. Do you want to graduate? I want to get the hell away from Erznik. That isn't enough. She points across the field at one of the cutouts. The wind plays with her bangs. What do you see when you sight a target? I see a plywood cutout of a person. Okay, but who do you see? I know what you meant. Sometimes I picture Resnick's face. Does it help? You tell me. It's about connection, she says. She motions for me to sit down. She sits in front of me, takes my hands. Hers are freezing, cold as the bodies in P and D. Close your eyes. Oh, come on, zombie. How's your way been working for you? Good. Okay, remember, it's not you and the target. It's not what's between you, but what connects you. Think about the lion and the gazelle. What connects them? Um, Hunger? That's the lion. I'm asking what they share. This is heavy stuff. Maybe it was a bad idea accepting her offer. Not only do I have her thoroughly convinced I'm a lousy soldier, now there's a real possibility that I'm also a moron. Fear, she whispers in my ear, as if she's sharing a secret. For the gazelle, fear of being eaten. For the lion, fear of starvation. Fear is the chain that binds them together. The chain. I carry one in my pocket attached to a silver locket. The night my sister died was 1,000 years ago. That night was last night. It's over. It's never over. It isn't a line from that night to this day. It's a circle. My fingers tighten around hers. I don't know what your chain is, she goes on, warm breath in my ear. It's different for everyone. They know. Wonderland tells them. It's the thing that made them put a gun in your hand, and it's the same thing that chains you to the target. Then, as if she's read my mind, it isn't a line, zombie. It's a circle. I open my eyes. The setting sun creates a halo of golden light around her. There is no distance. She nods and urges me to my feet. It's almost dark. I bring up my rifle and tuck the butt against my shoulder. You don't know where the target will rise. You only know that it will. Ringer signals Upa. The tall and the tall dead grass rustles to my right a millisecond before the target pops. But that's more than enough time. It's an eternity. There is no distance, nothing between me and the not me. The target's head disintegrates with a satisfying crack. Oompa gives a shout and pumps his fist in the air. I forget myself and grab Ringer around the waist, swinging her off the ground and twirling her around. I'm one very dangerous second away from kissing her. When I set her down, she takes a couple of steps back and tucks her hair carefully behind her ears. That was out of line, I say. I don't know what. I don't know who's more embarrassed. We're both trying to catch our breaths, maybe for different reasons. Do it again, she says. Shoot or twirl. Which one? Her mouth twitches. Oh, I'm so close. The one that means something. Bet you're curious about her backstory, huh?
Yeah. She seems almost entirely devoid of emotion.
Yep. Well, it's in the second book, in which you do learn more about her backstory, but I don't know if anyone's interested in the second novel yet.
Ah.
There's still a ways to go in this first one. All right. Looks like there's a time skip to graduation day on chapter 51. Our new uniforms were waiting for us when we returned from morning chow, pressed and starched and neatly folded on our bunks. And an extra special bonus surprise, Headbands equipped with the latest in alien detection technology. A clear, quarter-sized disc that slips over your left eye. Infested humans will light up through the lens, or so we're told. Later that day, when I asked the tech how it exactly worked, his answer was simple. Unclean glows green. When I politely asked for a brief demo, he laughed. You'll get your demo in the field, soldier. For the first time since coming to Camp Haven, probably for the last time in our lives, we are kids again, whooping it up and jumping from bunk to bunk, throwing high fives. Ringer's the only one who ducks into the latrine to change. The rest of us strip where we stand, throwing the hated blue jumpsuits into a pile in the middle of the floor. Teacup has the bright idea to set them on fire, and would have if Dumbo didn't snatch the lit match from her hand at the last second. The only one without a uniform is sitting on his bunk in his white jumpsuit, legs swinging back and forth, arms folded over his chest, bottom lips stuck out a mile. I'm not oblivious. I get it. After I'm dressed, I sit beside him and slap him on the leg. You'll get your turn, Private. Hang in there. 2 years, zombie. So, think what a hard ass you'll be in 2 years. Put all of us to shame. Nuggets being assigned to another training squad after we deploy. I promised him he could bunk with me whenever I'm on base, though I have no idea when or if I'm ever coming back. Our mission is still top secret, known only to Central Command. I'm not sure even Resnick knows where we're going. I don't really care as long as Resnick stays here. Come on, soldier. You're supposed to be happy for me, I tease him. You're not coming back. He says it with so much angry conviction that I don't know what to say. I'll never see you again. Of course you're going to see me again, Nugget. I promise. He hits me as hard as he can, again and again, right over my heart. I grab his wrist, and he lays into me with his other hand. I grab that one and order him to stand down. Don't promise, don't promise, don't promise, don't promise anything ever, ever, ever. His little face screwed up with rage. Hey, Nugget, hey. I fold his arms over his chest and bend down to look him in the eye. Some things you don't have to promise, you just do. I reach into my pocket and pull out Sissy's locket, undo the clasp. I haven't done that since I fixed it at Tent City. Circled, broken. I draw it around his neck and hook the ends together. Circle complete. No matter what happens out there, I'll come back for you, I promise him. Over his shoulder, I see Ringer come out of the bathroom, tucking her hair beneath her new cap. I stand at attention and snap off a salute. Private Zombie reporting for duty, squad leader. My one day of glory, she says, returning the salute. Everybody knows who's making sergeant. I shrug modestly. I don't listen to rumors. You made a promise you knew you couldn't keep, she says matter-of-factly, which is pretty much the way she says everything. The unfortunate thing is she says it right out in front of Nugget. Sure you don't want to take up chess, zombie? You'd be very good at it. Since laughing seems like the least dangerous thing to do at the moment, I laugh. The door flies open, and Dumbo shouts, Sir, good morning, sir! We rush to the ends of our bunks and stand at attention as Resnick moves down the line for what will be our final inspection. He's subdued for Resnick. He doesn't call us maggots or scumbags. He's nitpicky as ever, though. Flintstone's shirt is untucked on one side. Oompa's hat is crooked. He brushes off a speck of lint that he can only see from Teacup's collar. He lingers over Teacup for a long moment, staring down into her face, almost comical in its seriousness. Well, Private, are you ready to die? Sir, yes, sir! Teacup shouts in her loudest warrior voice. Resnick turns to the rest of us. How about you? Are you ready? Our voices thunder as one. Sir, yes, sir! Before he leaves, Resnick orders me front and center. Come with me, Private. A final salute to the troops. Then, see you at the party, children. On my way out, Winger gives me a knowing look as if to say, told you so. I follow 2 paces behind the drill sergeant as he marches across the yard. Blue-suited recruits are putting the finishing touches on the speaker's platform, hanging up bunting, setting up chairs for the high brass, unrolling a red carpet. A huge banner has been hung across the barracks. On the far side, we are humanity, and on the opposite side, we are one. Into a nondescript one-story building on the western side of the compound, passing through a security door marked Authorized Personnel Only. Through a metal detector manned by heavily armed, stone-faced soldiers. Into an elevator that carries us 4 stories beneath the earth. Resnick doesn't talk. He doesn't even look at me. I have a pretty good idea where we're going, but no idea why. I nervously pick at the front of my new uniform. Down a long corridor awash in fluorescent lighting, passing through another security checkpoint. More stone-faced, heavily armed soldiers. Resnick stops at an unmarked door and swipes his keycard through the lock. We step inside a small room. A man in a lieutenant's uniform greets us at the door, and we follow him down another hallway and into a large private office. A man sits behind the desk, leafing through a stack of computer and printouts. Vosh. He dismisses Resnick and the lieutenant, and we're alone. At ease, Private. I spread my feet and put my hands behind my back, right hand loosely gripping my left wrist. Standing in front of the big desk, eyes forward, chest out, he is the supreme commander. I'm a private, a lowly recruit, not even a real soldier yet. My heart is threatening to pop the buttons on my brand new shirt. So, Ben, how are you? He's smiling warmly at me. I don't even know how to begin to answer his question. Plus, I'm thrown by his calling me Ben. It sounds strange to my own ears after being called zombie for so many months. He's expecting an answer, and for some stupid reason, I blurt out the first thing that pops into my head. Sir, the private is ready to die, sir. He nods, still smiling, and then he gets up, comes around the desk, and says, let's speak freely, soldier to soldier. After all, that's what you are now, Sergeant Parrish. I see them then, the sergeant's stripes on his hand. So Ringer was right. I snap back to attention when he pins them on my collar. He claps me on the shoulder, his blue eyes boring into mine. Hard to look him in the eye. The way he looks at you makes you feel naked, totally exposed. You lost a man, he says. Yes, sir. Terrible thing. Yes, sir. He leans back against the desk, crosses his arms. His profile was excellent. Not as good as yours, but the lesson here, Ben, is that we all have a breaking point. We're all human, yes? Yes, sir. He's smiling. Why is he smiling? It's cool in the underground bunker, but I'm beginning to sweat. You may ask, he says with an inviting wave of his hand. Sir, the question you must be thinking, the one you've had since Tank showed up in processing and disposal. How did he die? Overdose, as you no doubt suspected. One day after being taken off suicide watch, he motions to the chair beside me. Have a seat, Ben. There's something I want to discuss with you. I sink into the chair, sitting on its edge, back straight, chin up. If it's possible to be at attention while seated, I'm doing it. We all have our breaking points, he says, blue eyes bearing down on me. I'll tell you about mine. 2 weeks after the 4th wave, gathering survivors at a refugee camp about 6 kilometers from here. Well, not every survivor, just the children. Although we hadn't detected Though we haven't detected. Hold on. Sort of lost my place a bit. Alright. We haven't detected the infestations yet. We were fairly confident whatever was going on didn't involve children. Since we couldn't know who was the enemy and who wasn't, it was Command's decision to terminate any and all personnel over the age of 15. His face goes dark. His eyes cut away, leaning back on the desk, gripping its edge so hard his knuckles turn white. I mean, my decision. Deep breath. We killed them, Ben. After we loaded up the children, we killed every single one of them. And after we were done, we incinerated their camp, wiped it off the face of the earth. He looks back at me. Incredibly, I see tears in his eyes. That was my breaking point. Afterward, I realized, to my horror, that I was falling into their trap. I was an instrument for the enemy. For every infested person I murdered, 3 innocent people died. I will have to live with that, because I have to live. Do you understand what I mean? I nod. He smiles sadly. Of course you do. We both have the blood of innocence on our hands, don't we? He pushes himself upright. All business now. The tears are gone. Sergeant Parrish, today we will graduate the top 4 squads of your battalion. As commander of the winning squad, you have first pick of assignments. 2 squads will be deployed as perimeter patrols to protect this base. The other 2 will be deployed into enemy territory. This takes me a couple of minutes to absorb. He lets me have them. He picks up one of the computer printouts and holds it in front of me. There's a lot of numbers and squiggly lines and strange symbols that mean absolutely nothing to me. I don't expect you to be able to read it, he said. But would you like to guess what this is? That's all it would be, sir, I answer. A guess. It's the Wonderland analytics of an infested human being. I nodded. Why the hell am I nodding? It's not like I understand. Ah, yes, Commander. An analytic. Please, go on. We've been running them through Wonderland, of course, but we haven't been able to untangle the infestations map from the victims, or clone, or whatever it is, until now. He holds up the readout. This, Sergeant Parrish, is what an alien consciousness looks like. Again, I'm nodding, but this time I'm starting to get it. You know exactly what they're thinking. Exactly. Beaming at me, the star pupil. The key to winning this war isn't tactics or strategy or even imbalances in technology. The real key to winning this war, or any war, is understanding how your enemy thinks. And now we do. I wait for him to break it to me gently. How does the enemy think? Much of what we assumed is correct. They have been watching us for some time. Infestations were embedded in key individuals around the world, sleeper agents, if you will, waiting for the signal to launch a coordinated attack after our population had been whittled down to a manageable number. We know how that attack turned out here at Camp Haven, and we strongly suspect that other military installations were not as fortunate. He slaps the paper on his thigh. I must have flinched because he gives me a reassuring smile. A third of the surviving population, planted here to eradicate those who have survived the first 3 waves. You, me, your team members, all of us. If you have any fear, as poor Tank did, that a 5th wave is coming, you can put it aside. There will be no 5th wave. They have no intention of leaving their mothership until the human race is exterminated. Is that why they haven't attacked us again? We think so. It seems their foremost desire is to preserve the planet for colonization. Now we are in a war of attrition. Our resources are limited. They can't last forever. We know it. They know it. Cut off from supplies, with no means to marshal any significant fighting force. Eventually, this camp and and any others out there like it will wither and die like a vine cut off from its roots. Weird. He's still smiling, like something about this doomsday scenario turns him on. So what do? I ask. The only thing we can do, Sergeant. We take the battle to them. The way he says it, no doubt, no fear, no helplessness. We take the battle to them. That's why he's the commander, standing over me, smiling, confident, his chiseled features reminding me of some ancient statue, noble, wise, strong. He is the rock against the alien waves. Crash, and he is unbroken. We are humanity, the banner read. Wrong. We're pale reflections of it, weak shadows, distant echoes. He is humanity, the beating, unbeaten, invincible heart of it. In that moment, if Commander Vosh had told me to put a bullet through my head for the cause, I would have. I would have without a second thought. Which brings us back to your assignment, he says quietly. Our recon flights have identified significant pockets of invested competence clustered in and around Dayton. A squad will be dropped in, and for the next 4 hours it will be on its own. The odds of making it out alive are roughly 1 in 4. I clear my throat. And 2 squads stay here. He nods, blue eyes boring deep to the marrow deep. Your call. That same call, secretive smile. He knows what I'm going to say. He knew before I walked through the door. Maybe my Wonderland profile told him, but I don't think so. He knows me. I rise from the chair to full attention and tell him what he already knows. And by the way, Commander Vosh, he's the first of the soldiers that Ben, aka Zombie, has met, like earlier in the book.
Oh.
Yep. Yeah, he's the one who said that he was going to have a hand in reshaping Ben from the inside out, that he was going to fill him with bitterness and stuff, and make him the spirit of vengeance. Yep. And there's definitely something wrong with Vosh. Definitely something off about him.
Yeah, you could say that again.
Oh boy, it's getting real exciting now. It's gonna get even more intense from here. I'm sure of it. 52. At 0900, the entire battalion musters in the yard, creating a sea of blue jumpsuits, headed by the top 4 squads in their crisp new fatigues. Over 1,000 recruits standing in perfect formation, facing east, the direction of new beginnings, towards the speaker's platform erected the day before. Flags snap in the icy breeze, but we don't feel the cold. We are lit from within by a fire hotter than the one that turned tank into ash. The brass of Central Command moves down the first line, the winning line, shaking our hands and congratulating us for a job well done. Then a personal word of gratitude from the drill instructors. I've been dreaming of what to say to Resnick when he shakes my hand. Thanks for making my life a living hell. Oh, die. Just die, you son of a bitch. Or my favorite, short and sweet and to the point, F you. But when he salutes and offers me his hand, I almost lose it. I want to hit him in the face and hug him at the same time. Congratulations, Ben, he says, which totally throws me off. I had no idea he even knew my name. He gives me a wink and continues down the line. There are a couple of short speeches by officers I've never seen before. Then the Supreme Commander is introduced, and the troops go crazy, waving our hats, pumping our fists. All our cheers echo off the buildings encircling the yard, making the roar twice as loud and us seem twice as many. Commander Vosh raises his hand very slowly and deliberately to his forehead, and it's as if he hit a switch. The noise cuts off as we raise our own hands in salute. We can hear quiet snuffling all around me. It's too much. After what brought us here and what we went through here, after all the blood and death and fire, after being shown the ugly mirror of the past through Wonderland and facing the uglier truth of the future in the execution room, after months of brutal training that pushed some of us past the point of no return, we have arrived. We have survived the death of our childhood. We are soldiers now. Maybe the last soldiers who will ever fight. The Earth's final and only hope, united as one in the spirit of vengeance. I don't hear a word of Vosh's speech. I watch the sun rising over his shoulder, framed between the twin towers of the tower plant, its light glinting off the mothership in orbit, the sole imperfection in the otherwise perfect sky. So small, so insignificant. I feel like I can reach up and pluck it from the sky, throw it to the ground, grind it to dust beneath my heel. The fire in my chest grows white hot, spreads over every inch of my body. It melts my bones. It incinerates my skin. I am the sun gone supernova. I was wrong about Ben Parrish dying on the day he left the convalescent ward. I've been carrying his stinking corpse inside me all through basic. Now the last of him is burned away as I stare up at the solitary figure who lit that fire, the man who showed me the true battlefield, who emptied me so I might be filled, who killed me so I might live. And I swear I can see him staring back at me through those icy blue eyes that see down to the bottom of my soul, and I know what he's thinking. We are one, you and I, brothers in hate, brothers in cunning, brothers in the spirit of vengeance. End of part 6.
Charming fellow.
Who, Vosh?
Yeah.
I'd say it's quite the opposite.
Yeah.
Poor Ben. It's just going to get harder for him. And Nugget as well. He's yet to reunite with Cassie, his sister.
Oh.
Yep.
The aliens' invasion of Earth must have been a logistical nightmare.
Oh, it was quite bad. Like the first wave attack was the massive EMP in which Bringer brought up like earlier in part 6, like earlier in the previous chapters. The second was coastal tsunamis. The third was the blood plague, and the fourth, the current one, in which is the alien invaders that infested some human beings have been killing off survivors. Yep. How long has it been? Almost an hour. I kind of want to start part 7. How about it?
I suppose we could start.
Yeah, maybe like a chapter or 2, and then just end it. All right, everyone, sneak peek, sort of, into part 7, back to, I think, Cassie? Yeah, I think it's Cassie and the person who saved her, Evan. YouTubing Jaguar, you missed quite a bit. Ben Parrish, aka Zombie, he just went through graduation at the top secret boot camp he went through and his basic training. And the rest of his squad members have survived, apart from Tank, who flipped his lid and killed himself. Or so Vosh has said. But I don't think Vosh is a trustworthy person. He's very shady and twisted. And it's not the last we'll see of him in this story. Part 7. The Heart to Kill. Chapter 53. He saved me. Lying in his arms, that night with those words in my ears, and I'm thinking, idiot, 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 you can't do this, you can't, you can't, can't. The first rule, trust no one, which leads to the second rule. The only way to stay alive as long as possible is to stay alone as long as possible. Now I've broken both. Oh, they're so clever. The harder survival becomes, the more you want to pull together. And the more you want to pull together, the harder survival becomes. The point is I had my chance, and I didn't do so well on my own. In fact, I sucked. I would have died if Evan hadn't found me. His body is pressed against my back. His arm is wrapped protectively around my waist. His breath is a delicious tickle against my neck. The room is very cold. It would be nice to climb under the covers, but I don't want to move. I don't want him to move. I run my fingers along his bare forearm, remembering the warmth of his lips, the silkiness of his hair between my fingers, the boy who never sleeps, sleeping, coming to rest upon the Cassiopean shore, an island in the middle of the sea of blood. You have your promise, and I have you. I can't trust him. I have to trust him. I can't stay with him. I can't leave him behind. You can't trust luck anymore. The others have taught me that. But can you still trust love? Not that I love him. I don't even know what love feels like. I know how Ben Parrish made me feel, which can't be put into words, or at least any words I know. Evan stirs behind me. It's late, he murmurs. You better get some sleep. How did he know I'm awake? What about you? He rolls off the bed and pads through the door. I sit up, my heart racing, not sure exactly why. Where are you going? Going to look around a little. Won't be long. After he leaves, I strip off my clothes and slip into one of his plaid lumberjack shirts. Val had been into the frilly sleepwear. I climb back into bed and pull the covers up to my chin. Dang, it's cold. I listen to the quiet of the Evanless house, that is. Outside are the sounds of nature unleashed, the distant barking of wild dogs, the howl of a wolf, the screech of owls. It's winter, the time of year when nature whispers. I expect a symphony of wild things once spring arrives. I wait for him to come back. An hour goes by, then 2. I hear the telltale creak again and hold my breath. I usually hear him come in at night, the kitchen door slamming, the heavy tread of his boots coming up the stairs. Now I hear nothing but the creaking on the other side of the door. I reach over and pick up the Luger from the bedside table. I always keep it near me. He's dead, was my first thought. Isn't Evan outside that door? It isn't Evan outside that door, it's a silencer. I slide out of bed and tiptoe to the door, press my ear against the wood, close my eyes to focus, holding the gun in the proper two-handed grip the way he taught me, rehearsing every step in my head he taught me. Left hand on knob, turn, pull, 2 steps back, gun up, turn, pull, 2 steps back. Creak. Okay, that's it. I fling open the door, take just 1 step back, so much for rehearsal, and bring up the gun. Evan jumps back and smacks against the wall, his hands flying up reflexively when he sees the muzzle glinting in front of his face. Hey! He shouts, eyes wide, hands up like he's been jumped by a mugger. What the hell are you doing? I'm shaking with anger. I was coming back to to check on you. Can you put the gun down, please? You know, I didn't have to open it, I snarl at him, lowering the gun. I could have shot you through the door. Next time, I'll definitely knock. He gives me his trademark lopsided smile. Let's establish a code for when you want to go all creeper on me. 1 knock means you'd like to come in. 2 means you're just stopping by to spy on me while I sleep. His eyes travel from my face to my shirt, which happens to be his shirt, to my bare legs, lingering a breath too long before returning to my face. His gaze is warm. My legs are cold. Then he knocks once on the jamb, but it's the smile that gets him in. We sit on the bed. I try to ignore the fact that I'm wearing his shirt and that shirt smells like him, and he's sitting about a foot away smelling like him, and also that there's a little hard knot in the pit of my stomach like a smoldering lump of coal. I want him to touch me again. I want to feel his hands as soft as clouds. But I'm afraid if he touches me, all 7 billion atoms that make up my body will blow apart and scatter across the universe. Is he alive? He whispers. That sad, desperate look is back. What's happened out there? Why is he thinking about Sam's? I shrug. How could I know the answer to that? I knew when Lauren was. I knew when she wasn't. Picking at the quilt, running his fingers over the stitching, tracing the borders of the patches like he's tracing the path on the treasure map. I felt it. It was just me and Val then. Val was pretty sick, and I knew she didn't have much time. I knew the timing, almost down to the hour. I'd been through it 6 times. It takes him a minute to go on. Something's really spooked him. His eyes won't stay still. They dart about the room as if trying to find something to distract him, or maybe the opposite. Something to ground him in the moment. This moment with me. Not the moment he can't stop thinking about. One day I was outside, he says, hanging up some sheets to dry on the clothesline, and this weird feeling came over me, like something had popped me in the chest. It was totally physical, not mental, not a little voice inside my head telling me that Lauren was gone. It felt like someone had punched me hard, and I knew, so I dropped the sheet and hauled ass to her house. He shakes his head. I touch his knee, then pull my hand back quickly. After the first touch, touching becomes too easy. How'd she do it? I ask. I don't want to make him go someplace he's not ready to go. So far, he's been an emotional iceberg, 2/3 hidden beneath the surface, listening more than he talks, asking more than he answers. Hung herself, he says. I took her down. He looks away. Here with me, there with her. Then I buried her. I don't know what to say, so I don't say anything. Too many people say something when they really have nothing to say. I think that's the way it is, he says after a minute. When you love someone, something happens to them, and it's a punch in the heart, not like a punch, not like a punch in the heart, a real punch in the heart. He shrugs and laughs softly to himself. Anyway, that's what I felt. And do you think since I haven't felt it, Sammy must be alive? I know. He shrugs and gives an embarrassed laugh. It's stupid. I'm sorry I brought it up. You really loved her, didn't you? We grew up together. His eyes glow at the memory. She was over here, and I was over at her house. Then we got older, and she was always over here, or I was always over there. When I could sneak away, I was supposed to be helping my dad on the farm. That's where you went tonight, isn't it? Lauren's house. A tear falls onto his cheek. I wipe it away with my thumb, the way he wiped my tears away on the night I asked him if he believed in God. He leans forward suddenly and kisses me, just like that. Why did you kiss me, Evan? Talking about Lauren, then kissing me. It feels weird. I don't know. He ducks his head. There's enigmatic Evan, taciturn Evan, passionate Evan, and now shy little boy Evan. The next time you better have a good reason, I tease him. Okay, he kisses me again. Reason? I ask softly. You're really pretty? That's a good one. I don't know if it's true, but it's good. He cups my face in his soft hands and leans in for a third kiss that lingers, igniting the simmering lump in my belly, making the hairs on on the back of my neck stand up and do a little happy dance. It is true, he whispers, our lips brushing. We fall asleep in the same spooning position we were in a few hours before, palm of his hand pressing just below my neck. I wake in the dead hours of the night, and for a second I'm back in the woods inside my sleeping bag, just me, my teddy bear, and my M16, and some stranger pressing his body into mine. No, it's okay, Cassie. It's Evan, the one who saved you, the one who nursed you back to health, and the one who's willing to risk his life so you can keep some ridiculous promise. Evan, the noticer who noticed you. Evan, the simple farm boy of the warm, gentle, soft hands. My heart skips a beat. What kind of farm boy has soft hands? I ease his hand away from my chest. He stirs, sighing against my neck. Now the hairs tickled by his lips, dance a different kind of jig. I lightly brush my fingertips over his palm, soft as a baby's bottom. Okay, don't panic. It's been a few months since he did any farm work, and you know how nice his cuticles are. Can years of calluses be wiped away by a few months of hunting in the woods? Hunting in the woods. I dip my head slightly to sniff his fingers. It's probably my overactive imagination, but I do detect the acrid metallic smell of gunpowder? When did he fire a gun? He hadn't gone hunting tonight, just to visit Lauren's grave. Lying, lying wide awake in his arms as dawn breaks, feeling his heart beating against my back, while my own heart pushes against his hand. You must be a lousy hunter. You hardly ever come back with anything. I'm actually very good. You just don't have the heart to kill. I have the heart to do what I have to do. What do you have the heart to do, Evan Walker? I think she's very suspicious of him.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. For a while she trusted him, and then all of a sudden she notices something very off about him, and now she's having paranoid second thoughts about him. Yep. Let's see. Another short chapter, this one, 54. All right, last one, and then we'll do closing. All right, 54. The next day is agony. I know I can't confront him. Way too risky. What if the worst is true? That there is no Evan Walker, farm boy, only Evan Walker, human traitor, or the unthinkable one word that pretty much sums up this alien invasion. Evan Walker, silencer. I tell myself this last possibility is ridiculous. A silencer wouldn't nurse me back to health, much less give me nicknames and play snuggles in the dark. A silencer would just, well, silence me. Once I take that irreversible step of confronting him, it's pretty much game over. If he isn't who he claims to be, I'd be giving him no choice. Whatever his reason for keeping me alive, I don't think I'd stay alive very long if he thought I knew the truth. Go slow, work it out, don't tear through it like you always do. Sullivan, not your style. You gotta be methodical for once in your life. So I pretend nothing's wrong. Over breakfast, though, I work the conversation around to his pre-arrival days. What kind of work did he do around the farm? Name it, he says. Drove a tractor, baled hay, fed the animals, repaired equipment, strung barbed wire. My eyes on his hands, while my mind makes excuses for him. He always wore gloves, is the best one, but I can't think of a natural sounding way to ask. So, Evan, you have such soft hands to have grown up on a farm. You must have worn gloves all the time and been even more into hand lotion than most guys, huh? He doesn't want to talk about the past. It's the future he's worried about. He wants details about the mission. Like every footstep between the farmhouse and Wright Patterson has to be mapped out. Every contingency considered. What if we don't wait till spring and another blizzard hits? What if we find the base abandoned? How do we pick up Sammy's trail then? When do we say enough is enough and give up? I'll never give this up, I tell him. I wait for nightfall. I was never very good at waiting, and he notices my restlessness. You're going to be okay? Standing by the kitchen door, rifle dangling from his shoulder, cupping my face tenderly in those soft hands, and me gazing upward into those puppy dog eyes. Brave Cassie, trusting Cassie, mayfly Cassie. Sure, I'll be fine. You go out and bag a few people, and I'll pop some corn. Then, locking the door behind him, watching him step lightly off the back porch and trot toward the trees, heading west toward the highway, where, as everyone knows, fresh game like deer and rabbit and Homo sapiens like to congregate. I tear through every room, 4 weeks locked up inside it like someone under house arrest. You think I would have poked around a little. What do I find? Nothing, and a lot. Family photo albums. There's baby Evan in the hospital wearing a striped newborn hat, toddler Evan pushing a plastic lawnmower, 5-year-old Evan sitting on a pony, 10-year-old Evan on the tractor, 12-year-old Evan in a baseball uniform, and the rest of his family, including Val. I pick her out right away and seeing the face of a girl who died in his arms and whose clothes I've taken brings the whole shitty thing back to me. And suddenly I'm like the lowest person left on earth, seeing his family in front of the Christmas tree, gathered around birthday cakes, hiking along a mountain trail, forces it down my throat. The end of Christmas trees and birthday cakes and family vacations, and the 10,000 other taken for granted things. Each photograph like the tolling of a bell, the timer clicking down to the end of normal. And she's in some of the pictures, Lauren. Tall, athletic, oh, and blonde. Of course, she would have to be. They make a very attractive couple, and in more than half the pictures, she isn't looking at the camera, she's looking at him. Not the way I would look at Ben Parrish, all squishy around the eyes. She looks at Evan fiercely like, this here, it's mine. I put the albums away. My paranoia is fading, so he has soft hands. So what? Soft hands are a nice thing. I build a roaring fire to heat up the room and push back the shadows that crowd in on me. So his fingers smell like gunpowder after visiting her grave. So what? There are wild animals running around everywhere, and it wasn't the kind of moment where you go, yeah, I went to her grave. Had to shoot a rabid dog coming back, by the way. Ever since he found you, he's taken care of you, kept you safe, been there for you. But no matter how much I lecture myself, I can't calm down. I'm missing something. Something important. I paced back and forth in front of the fireplace, shivering despite the the roaring flames. It's like having an itch you can't scratch. But what could it be? I know in my gut I'm not going to find anything incriminating, even if I tear through every inch of the house. But you haven't searched everywhere, Cassie. You haven't looked in the one place he wouldn't expect you to look. I limp into the kitchen. Not much time now. Grab a heavy jacket from the hook by the door and a flashlight from the cupboard. Tuck the Luger into my waistband and step outside into the bitter cold. Clear sky, the yard bathed in starlight. I try not to think about the mothership a few hundred miles over my head as I shuffle toward the barn. I don't click on the light until I step inside. The smell of old manure and mildewed hay. The scampering of rats' feet on the trotting boards over my head. I swing the light around, over the empty stalls and across the dirt floor into the hayloft. I didn't know exactly what I well, I don't know exactly what I'm looking for, but I keep looking. Every creepy movie ever made, the barn is the prime nesting ground for the things you don't know you're looking for and always regret finding. I find what I'm not looking for under a pile of ratty blankets heaped against the back wall. Something long and dark glinting in the circle of light. I don't touch it, I reveal it, tossing aside 3 blankets to reach its resting place. It's my M16. I know it's mine. I can see my initials in the stock, CS, scratched there one afternoon while I hid in the little tent in the woods. CS, for completely stupid. I'd lost it in the median when the silencer struck from the woods, left it there in my panic. Decided I couldn't go back for it. Now here it is in Evan Walker's barn. My bestie had found its way back to me. Do you know do you know how to tell who the enemy is in wartime, Cassie? I back away from it. Back away from the message it sends. Back all the way to the door while I keep the light shining on its glossy black barrel. Then I turn and run smack into his rock hard chest. All right, I think that's a good cliffhanger to leave it on. Gee, I wonder why he put her gun there. All right, predictions. Any predictions on what's to come for next week?
I don't have any.
Okay. I think there might be something more to reveal on Evan's backstory or something. And Cassie may find out once and for all if Evan is truly trustworthy or not. I don't know if she will find her little brother yet. Not quite. I don't think it's quite that time yet. And Zombie has yet to go on his first real mission with his squad members. And I've yet to find out if Ringer goes with them or not. All right. Okay. Thank yous. Thank you to Gray in the Fields for joining me in the call, and thank you to YouTubing Jaguar and Attack Helicopter Cat in the chat for listening in. Good night. See you next Monday night, where we'll read more of Part 7. It's just getting good. Good night.